opportunity to handle county business. We ask that you bless our efforts. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Consideration for June's minutes.
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Been motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And open. Representatives from St. Mark Church.
He's out in the lobby.
Good, how about you? All right.
Thank you. Okay. State your name, purpose.
My name is Donald Lawrence, and I'm here representing St. Mark Church of God in Christ, located on Highway 43, north at the vicinity of Dean Road. Okay, presently, we have a church located at the vicinity, and what the church is proposing to do is an addition to the church, which will consist of 1,620 additional square feet for the church.
You don't have any opposition? Church? Questions? Entertain a motion.
I move we approve this request.
Second.
Been moved properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Before I depart, I would like to introduce my pastor. I would give him that honor if you would give me that time. My pastor is Pastor John Scott, who's the pastor of our church.
Thank you for coming out to support the effort here. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And thank you.
Daniel Waldridge.
Good morning. I'm Daniel Wooldridge, architect for the project. We are requesting that we rezone a piece of property on Highway 22 from A1 to C2. It's a piece of property that is had originally had a residence on it at one time. The house has been torn down. It's sitting vacant at the moment. Our clients want to use this piece of property they want to sell it. That's what they want to do as a commercial property.
And it's residential now?
But it's not residential now, it's agricultural A1 right now.
Oh, okay, so the home is abandoned.
No, it's gone. The home was abandoned and it's been torn down.
Question.
At the moment, it's been people use it to kind of as a dump site sometimes, and right after the hunting season, there's a lot of deer carcasses have been just thrown out, and that's how it's kind of being used at the moment. So we feel if we could get it rezoned and get it sold, we can get it cleaned up and get it a purpose and a use for it. Something that the area could, use. So,
So, you're in a position that you find that you're not unfamiliar with, where you've got a piece of property that hasn't been zoned commercial, but we're trying to sell it to somebody who would develop it commercially.
that's,
Nobody wants to buy the property not knowing whether it's gonna be rezoned, and nobody,
that's correct. That's the issue. He can't sell it to somebody as a commercial property because it's not commercial, and somebody doesn't want to buy it if it can't get rezoned commercial. So,
so you don't really have any plans for the property other than to try to sell it to somebody who will develop it.
that's correct.
So is it a deer camp surrounding this piece of property?
There, surrounding the property, it is A1 zone property around it. Behind it, they have placed put it in a conservation area. I'm not sure how much of that's all in the conservation area, but a large portion of it behind it is. I think there's somebody that's using the property at the moment to hunt on, but it's not in any kind of a hunting camp itself.
Okay.
Do the hunters in the area have the current owners' permission to dump their carcasses on the property?
Oh, no, they don't. They're just driving. It's just in a spot where they can just pull up in there and dump the carcasses out and drive off.
Mr. Chairman, a word,
Yes, sir.
excuse me for speaking, I'm covering for Andy Clark today on vacation. I'm the lawyer from Classic County.
Yes, sir.
Large body. Normally, as you know, when there's objection to zoning classification, like this one, they go from A1 to C2,
Yes,
someone objects. When they object, they usually appeal it up to the board of supervisors. And we have to look at the complete record. Those opposing and those opposing. Usually the person opposing comes with a study or some proof that the environment has changed in the area to make it appropriate for commercial designation. There has to be some proof in the record showing that the circumstances, the traffic, the businesses have grown in the area, the environment's changed. Something, proof on the record, other than just we want to do it. And so if anybody opposes it and goes up to the board, the board would have no basis on which to make a judgment.
I understand. And then, to the east, between our site and Canton, we have the mega site that has been developed, and that has added more traffic to the highway. It is providing more opportunities on 22 for more commercial.
No, but this board, other than just saying it,
Yes,
you have to make a record. The record is gonna be what the board, this board, nor the superior board, if you will, can make a decision on what's not in the record. It's gotta be a record made of how it's changed to make it appropriate for whatever board to make a decision that should be commercial. See?
yes.
Something, a study or not just, that's the mega site. We know that's the mega site, but you gotta do something more than that. I would think.
Forgive me for not knowing this, but does this property share a border with the mega site, with the mega site, does it butt up against it?
It does not butt up against it, no, sir.
Any other statements?
Well, you do have Livingston, to the west, so there is a connection between the Canton and the Livingston, and just the need for, there will be a need at the time for commercial properties, in between.
I think our attorney was saying that something documents showing that there's a need for that particular changeover. And he was desiring something to put in the record as well as for us. I'm not sure if we should go forward with there's no study.
Do you have anything to support the possibility of that, the character of the neighborhood? That's one of the things we look at when changing zoning, is that character.
Well, I mean, I don't have a study that's showing any of that, but we see every day that the mega site is growing, and the sales of other properties that are between here and Canton, between our site and Canton, that are commercial on both sides of the road, and it's moving. We'll be moving, west as it grows. I don't have a study that shows that we need specific businesses. We do see, you do see some residential that's going on along 22, some other neighborhoods and that sort. So there's going to be needs for commercial support. And we feel like, this is a good site. It's centrally located between Canton and Livingston. We don't know, we do not have a specific use for it at the moment. We had come before the board before with a specific use of storage. Not some climate control storage and some indoor storage, no outdoor storage, but, as residential grows, that it's always a growth or a need for that type of a business. And that's a quiet business. It's not a loud business. It's not a lot of traffic. It's, fenced and protected, and it, keeps the place cleaned and, nicer looking in the area. Right now, it's grown up.
I'm not sure if we could go forward without a study showing the need for change. Am I right, attorney?
It doesn't have to be a study.
I'm not sure what the help is.
It's a lot of expense to a study. I do believe that just saying it's changed, a podium, you're gonna need something more. If you could show growth patterns.
Well, we do have a census.
Without studies from Wakita, or that could be a public report, that you have to show that the character of the neighborhood has changed. You don't have a specific project, right? You try to do it prospectively, which makes it even more difficult. Mr. Billsley said you're asking that it be rezoned for something that might happen in the future. Without showing on paper that the character's changed, to allow for something that you haven't even, that's not specific yet, right? So put them in a difficult situation. It needs to be some document, not that you have to do a study. There's no public documents showing the traffic has grown and the mega site is there, and whatever would be consistent with what you want. It's got to be a record that you make, because posed by somebody in the future, and I would sue the board of supervisors, they have to make a decision on something you just said without a record. What you say?
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
I think we're getting hung up on the word record. We'll have a record of everything that's done today, but what we really need is harder evidence, harder numbers. Like Mr. Espy said, it doesn't have to be a formal study, but more homework needs to be.
Well, can we ask that it be tabled till the next meeting then, and we provide this, the information that's requested?
Before you do that, please, I'm here representing Mr. Creekmore, so everyone here is in opposition.
Okay, can you go to the mic?
Oh, you go there, you got the mic?
No.
You,
Sure.
We're on live screen. We can't hear you.
Yes, sir. My name is Danny Spivey. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Creekmore and several other petitioners. First of all, he's got to show two things. Mr. Epstein knows. He's got to show a public need. They have not brought one single person to show that there's a public need to put a commercial development in this particular location. Then he has to show a change in the character of the neighborhood. They cannot show a change. Just from Mr. Epstein's knowledge, we've had this hearing once already. They were asking to zone it to I-2, the industrial, heavy industrial. This commission denied that unanimously. Now they're back, and they were told the same thing. You need to show a public need and a change in the character of the neighborhood. They're back again without a public need or a change in the character of the neighborhood. Worse than that, they're telling you guys that they want to rezone it to sell it. That's called a private need. That's called making money. The zoning ordinances are not about a private need. The sole purpose of the zoning ordinances are to rezone something based on a public need. They cannot show you a public need. If I may, just real quick, so we'll have something in the record. So the first page is the property owned by Mr. Creekmore. There's 500 contiguous acres owned by Mr. Creekmore. It's all either agricultural or residential. It abuts Panther Creek. It runs all the way around to Catlett Road, basically. That's 500 acres of residential and or agricultural. The second document in your package is a letter from Mr. Heath Jenkins. He owns Turkey Creek. Mr. Heath Jenkins is in opposition to this petition. Mr. Heath Jenkins, a large part of Mr. Heath Jenkins is owned I-2, the industrial. However, Mr. Jenkins has put that in a conservation easement, which means it cannot ever be used for I-2, so that can't be used by the petitioner to show a change in the neighborhood. The second is a letter from Mr. Trey Pace, who owns the property just to the east. His gate is just to the east of this particular property they're trying to rezone. He goes back due north and owns basically back by the Walker Plantation, the backside. He's in opposition to it. The color page shows you all these different individual residents, what it's all zoned. It's either zoned A1 or residential, except for Mr. Heath Jenkins, which is zoned I2, but he's put that in a conservation easement. It can't be used for I2. There is no change in this environment, in the character of the neighborhood. On top of all that, which they have to prove, and they were told that the last time they came to this commission to ask for the I2 zoning, they've given you guys nothing to prove. This property is located in a curve. When you're coming east on Highway 22 from out west of town, you come down a dip into a curve. If they put a commercial development in that dip, you cannot put a middle lane, you can't put a middle turn lane, you can't do anything to protect these folks coming out of this purported commercial development into Highway 22. It is going to be a disaster. There's already a lot, sir?
This study, but has the county road engineer given you that information? Do you have any study to back that up, or is that just?
If you just drive out there, no, sir, Ms. Billings, if you just drive out there, you can see well, you can look on that yellow piece of paper. It's in the curve, and it's in a dip. When you're coming east, when you're traveling east, you're coming over the hill and down in that curve. It's going to be a disaster. They have to show a public need and a change in the environment. The only thing they've come to you guys with is a private need. They want to rezone it to sell it to make money. I'm not against capitalism, but that's not what the rezoning ordinances allow. All these folks are here to speak. If you guys want to hear them, they're all here in opposition to the petition. They all own land or houses or property out there.
Your point, presentation, well taken at this time. We entertain a motion.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Are you suggesting that the petitioner not be allowed more time to try to come up with, to do more homework?
Yes, sir.
Are you suggesting that we just deny it today and be done with it?
Absolutely. Because they've come once before, and they were told this exact same thing from Andy, the attorney for the commission. They were told the exact same thing. You have to show these two things. You need to bring us something to show these two things. We're back again. All these folks have taken off time, just as y'all have, but they knew this. They have not brought one single person or one single document to prove the two things that they're required by the zoning ordinances to prove.
I'd like to hear from you. Do you have any comments?
Well, on the curve issue of the street, it's in the straightaway area. There is a curve on one side, there's a curve on the other, but there's adequate distance for, if there was a residence there, if there was a house there, they would have the same issue of pulling out onto the street as anybody else would. To the west, the driveway that's going to the land that's back behind it is actually in the curve, right in the curve. The curve area to the east, back towards Canton, is on the other side of a house area that's between the curve and the piece of property. There's
I think the last time we were here, there was a lady that presented something for us, traffic study. At that time, she was,
in opposition.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, again, if there was a residence there, if there was a farm there, the driveway, if it would be an issue with a commercial property, somebody pulling out, there would be no different than if there was a house there, somebody was pulling out.
Well, even with the traffic study, I believe the need has not been shown or proven.
Well,
But
if
I'm just
we, I think we could show that, if we could table this and we'd come back with that information, to show that.
I'll entertain a motion, whichever.
Hey, I'm Christy Greenlee. I represent the owners. We did come in here before. We wanted to put a storage unit, and we were told, I'm sorry,
Which owners?
I apologize, the owners of the land that's in dispute,
Okay.
the current owners. Yeah, so I don't agree with them on the curve, just because there was a residence there and there has been no reported accidents right there, unless someone has something. Okay. I have a census. I can email it to Scott. Daniel just forgot to print it out, I think, but I have a census that was done last week for Madison County, from Gluckstadt to Madison County to Canton, just showing the growth and what population, rooftops, house income, just showing that we believe in the future it's going to be a need.
How old is that information?
I just got it. Chris Watson did it for me. He works with the city. So it's
All
new.
right, the young lady behind you would like to speak.
Okay.
My name is Angela White, and I've got the adjacent property to this. And my concern is this is agriculture. This is limited residential with a lot of acreage around it. Putting the type of zoning that they're talking about, a restaurant, that's going to be the traffic volume is going to be high. I agree with the attorney that there's just not enough road usage, that road capability there to allow people for that higher volume. While they're citing a residence, there's just not the volume of traffic with a residential coming in and out, and there is a risk of an accident. But when you start to put a commercial business, you've got higher volume. In addition, it's just out of character for the area. It's used for agriculture. We've got pine. We periodically trim the pine, and we've got it in conservation. Sometimes that area may be used for some light hunting. I just don't think it's suitable for a commercial area in the isolations, because you're adding traffic, you're adding security issues. There's just not the infrastructure in that area to support that type of business. And for that severe a change for a small acreage relative to the other acreage around it, in terms of my property, I just don't think it's going to do anything for the surrounding property. I don't think there's the current infrastructure or a plan for the infrastructure to change that. And if there's a plan that the city wants to do and they want to really revisit and restructure that, that's a good conversation to have. But to take 3 acres and abruptly change it from A1 to C2 and have no plan in place, of what's to be there, how you're going to handle the infrastructure, how you're going to handle the traffic, how you're going to handle the safety and security, given the extra volumes of what they hope to have as resources for that. There are commercial and areas that are in development in Canton now that certainly could use this support, but this isn't one of them. And so we oppose this, and we're the adjacent property.
Entertain a motion?
Can I ask one more question, Mr. Woolridge? How long of a table do you need? 1 month, 2 months?
Just in 1 month, just the next meeting.
My motion that we table this for 1 month. We know there's new information that was not available previously. Give the landowner a chance to use the new information to see if he can come up with what the zoning ordinance calls for. That's,
If I could, that's not accurate. They've had that information. They just told you they've had that information.
I'm sorry, did I misunderstand her?
I've had it 1 week.
And it's about rooftops in Madison County. That's irrelevant.
It is a
Hold on. We're gonna speak at the mic, not just out.
Anyway, they both addressed my issues about the road. They were told the last time they came you have to prove a public need and a change in the character of the neighborhood. They're back here again with not one single document or one single person that can prove either one of those matters. You have no choice but deny it. I mean, I don't mean to be presumptive, but they have to prove that to y'all. They have not proven either one of those.
I move that we considering that there's new information, I move that we table this for 1 more month to give them a chance to do their more homework, come back and make their presentation, and then we decide.
Second that motion.
It has been moved and properly second that way. No, you can't.
Sorry. I'm just curious, if we come up and we can argue this and we can convince you to deny it today, will you still table it so they can prove it when they've been asked already to prove this? I mean, I think everybody over here is willing to get up here and tell you why we don't want this in our area.
I appreciate that. My motion is gonna stand only because the ordinance requires us to do things a certain way. There will be plenty of opportunity down the road for anybody to oppose whatever is being done, just like there was today. If there's we deny them the opportunity today, the way I see it is if we just go ahead and deny them the opportunity today, then that's not.
It's not fair, right? My question too, but should they have had this information, which they were asked to bring, I feel like if we could all speak, like we aren't even getting a chance to argue against it because they weren't ready when they were asked to be ready.
Just 1 second.
I'm just curious. I don't know how this works. That's why I'm asking.
This is the second time
Yeah.
coming,
Is
and
it the same owner the second time?
Yes.
Yes.
in essence, the same situation. And so, therefore, they actually, knowing what was what, should have had that information.
Right.
Also, as the attorney shared with us in the beginning, you have to show a need.
And nothing has
Looking at,
changed. They haven't
where
said
it's
anything
sitting.
different.
And how it's sitting. Hold on, sir. So, but being denied doesn't mean you can't come back. Tabling and denying would still, neither of those things would deny you all from coming back and making an appeal, nevertheless.
Can I ask another question? How often can you, come and ask to be rezoned once you've been denied and denied and denied? How often can you request this? I mean, do we have to come in every month and just bring the whole town and rebut it? Nothing is changing in the area. Yes, we're residential. People want to come out to where there's no commercialism. That's why we're moving out here, yet you're trying to change it to commercial. I mean, we can keep bringing more and more people. At what point is it gonna stop? I mean, he has every right to come and try to change his land, but, I'm just curious, how often can we come in here and fight this?
Mr. President, may I speak? When you're denied a rezoning, you cannot seek that rezoning for 1 year, that same one. So
But
now
there's a
that
bunch
it's
of different ones.
C2, you know, if it's denied, then they can't seek that for another year.
Okay.
You would have to go to a different classification.
Okay.
And help you understand, vision you see, you want it to be permanent.
Well, that's not fair to be permanent because they have the right to want to change their land. I get that.
I'm not finished.
I'm sorry.
So, the position the commission's in, you have one side with an attorney, capable attorney, making presentations, I'm sure you put things into the record. You have another side of the presentation of documents, it's pretty scant. So it's uneven. Now, that may be good for one side, but the other side is not good. And then for the board to make it, if the board, I can't tell the board what to do. I'm just laying out a scenario. If I'm wrong, let me know. But if it's denied today, instead of tabled today, the other side could appeal that to the Board of Supervisors. That board would look at it and say, hey, one side had ample opportunity. One side didn't present much. And that may not be enough for us to confirm a denial.
Okay.
And then it goes up to a court. So what I'm saying is that, and I can't tell the board what to do, but it looks like if the record was more mature, on the other side, a denial of that would sort of stick. And it'd be permanent until there's a specific project, you know?
But Mr. Epstein, they were told the same thing last time. They were told the exact same thing last time.
All right, I understand.
May I have a question on the new study? If there is a new study that recently became available, then we would like to have that study made available to our side as well. We don't have whatever this new study is. So that's my question, so that if the motion is to table, and I understand it's a table, and it's been seconded, and we're at the discussion phase of this motion at this point. I would like to make certain that all sides have whatever this new study is, so that we can fairly assess and come back with any discussion based on the new study.
So you're saying when the study is done?
Well, she says she has a new study now.
Do you have, I'm sorry, do you have any objection to sharing your information with them?
Well, no, because it looks like you're moving towards tabling. The motion on the floor is to table this, based on a new study that we have not seen.
Just based on new information.
So can that new information be put into the record so that we know how to pursue and understand it on both sides of the table?
I think she just said she would be glad to share it with you.
But I don't think I got clear from. Oh, no, it's not so much sharing, that's a nice thing to say, but what I'm asking is, what is this that you got from the city? I didn't think I heard clearly. It's a demographic census from the city of Canton?
It's from Gluckstadt and the city of Canton.
From-
And the city of Madison. It's the whole.
That's a broad area.
I can.
For-
Actually, it's summarized.
We
so I
can't,
can
we
see
can't
the
speak from the
stuff.
floor.
I'm sorry, she was looking at me, I'm talking.
That's a broad area if you're going all the way to Madison and Gluckstadt to find enough to try to quantify a commercial development on Highway 22 in Canton. That's a big stretch, I believe. It feels like a stretch, but we certainly would, if your desire is to table it, as I'm hearing you say, because you want to make certain all sides have been heard clearly.
You're not hearing all of us say that. You heard a motion that was second. We have yet to actually
Vote.
carry the motion. It's four of us up here. I don't know how all four will vote, all three anyway.
Okay, because I'm in opposition to that.
Yeah, just to renew, They were told the same thing last time. They have to prove to you guys a public need and a change in the character. They have not brought one piece of paper or one person. This petition needs to be denied. They were told the exact same thing last time.
Good morning. My name is Casey Syke. We're here representing our own family, but we also have 5 other rental properties that were within hundreds of feet from this property. What I'd like to know is if any of you are actually familiar with this area, or if you've actually ridden out to this area to see exactly where this proposed project is.
I have.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, last time I came forth, I did give a study on the traffic from Highway 22 and the wrecks. Because we live on Highway 22, I can tell you there are a lot of wrecks. There is a curve that's very, very close to this projected property, and it doesn't matter what the zoning is, it doesn't take away the fact that it's a dangerous curve. And when you put a commercial property in here, you're talking about a lot more traffic coming in and out than just 1 or 2 cars for a residential property. So it's dangerous, and we have properties, Lizzie Lane and Castins Drive. And even if you back up going further towards Flora at Lizzie Lane, it's still a dangerous corner, and you're talking about right around the corner from that. So, like I said, if you've been out there, then you're familiar with that curve, and you know that people fly down Highway 22. They do not follow the speed limits. So it is a dangerous curve, and that is one thing. But I will also say, you do see a lot of people here, but who you're not going to see, there's a lot of elderly people that live in that neighborhood that aren't aware of all this that's going on, that are going to be heavily impacted. And a lot of those people have been there for a very, very long time. And we tried to keep that in mind. We talked to a lot of them. We met a lot of them when we were redoing little houses out there, and they were concerned about the character out there. So we tried to ensure them that we were there. We wanted to try to keep it as much like it was as possible, and they were all very, very grateful for that. So
We'll hear the gentleman, and then we have to carry this motion, however.
I just had a question. My name is Mike McGuffey.
Mr. President,
I'm a property owner.
Hold on one
I'm sorry.
second. This report, you said you've had it a week? The census?
Yes, sir.
Why was it not provided to me prior to this meeting? That would have been helpful.
And keep in mind, we got 2 weeks' notice. What was a sign out there, 15 days?
15.
So we had to prepare all these folks to come speak, get prepared to come speak on 15 days' notice. And they were told the same thing last time they were here. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
My name's Mike McGuffey. I'm a property owner in the area. And the last time we came, I think we understood that there were plans for a storage building. And I know when you asked the gentleman today what the plans were, and his plans are just to make it commercial, then sell it. And that he had no idea what they might sell it to, just whoever. So it's a little hard to plan and to be prepared to know whether we have an objection or not if we don't even know what's going to be built there. So one may be a low-traffic area. He mentioned the storage building again, or at least low traffic, referring to the storage building today. But if it's a restaurant or if it's something else, the traffic may change. So it's going to be hard to prepare, for what kind of traffic there may be if we don't even have any idea what's there. And I know there is residential to the east and to the west of this spot already. And I know the area's grown residentially. We can look that up. I moved out in the last 8 years. I have another son, 2 sons that have moved out with their families. So that's my concern as well. And this just seems to be a little bit unknown, so those are my objections.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Daniel.
When we did come the first time, we were asking for a rezoning to I-2. And we did have a specific use for the piece of property as storage. We were told by this committee that they felt like it would be a better use if it was C2 versus I2. And at that point, when we denied the I2, we made it a point to come back to make it C2 instead of the I2. The report that she's referring to, that the census is broad, but it's broken down into areas. We can show exactly this area along I-22, the growth that's happening up and down 22 between Canton and Flora. We will make that available to the committee and make that available to anybody else that would like to see that.
And let me just correct you. It was one of the commissioners that said it may better serve as that. It
Yeah.
was one of them, not all of them.
Well, I understand that, yes. But we still, the user for the storage is still, but, you know, there's still an interested party, and it could still happen in a C2. And it is a low-impact use of the piece of property, but they are still interested in that.
I think, myself, I understand that offered plenty of opportunity to gather more information. Looking more at the strict application of the zoning ordinance and how the process works. You're allowed, anyone is allowed to request rezoning of their property, but there are certain things that you have to show to get that rezoning acted on.
Understand.
I don't think you've shown those things today. My question to you is, would another month realistically, or however long, give you an opportunity to come up with ample proof that the character of the neighborhood has changed? I've heard a lot of people say today the character of the neighborhood has not changed. How are you gonna do that, show that in the next 30 days or however long the table period? Because I'm prepared to withdraw my motion to table this unless you can give me some.
Well,
comfort
I
that you
guess when you talk about, you know, has the neighborhood changed, is how big is the neighborhood? You know, are we talking all the way down to the mega site? Are we talking down to where Nissan Parkway is now got a new interchange and there's commercial being put at that area? Yeah, and those are things that we would be prepared to bring to you and show you.
we would need to see.
That, and if we table it, and in a month's time, we can bring you those and show you those efforts.
So there's information that can be gathered.
Yes.
That will, in your opinion, show
Yeah.
that the neighborhood.
Yes, we can.
Character of the neighborhood has changed.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that could happen with the chart and the studies, that the information that we receive from the opposition. You're talking about 500 acres here and the acreage there and that acreage and then that little piece sitting in, nestled in there. I just can't see how you can actually change or show
Oh, you can see, I mean,
a change in
and you
character.
can see on there how close that the I-2, the mega site, did come to this site. I mean, it does not adjoin it, but it comes very close to it. And yeah, part of that I-2 has now been put into a conservatory, I think. Conservation. And, but, you know, he personally done that, but it was still rezoned I-2 at one time because it
I
was,
think it happened in that spot.
no, it can't.
Right.
But it had been,
It doesn't
it had been
affect- it doesn't
previously,
affect what they're
it had been
talking about.
previously, but that was a personal thing they did. It wasn't the county that put it in that. You know, but the county had changed it to an I-2 zoning.
So the motion is to,
Could I just ask Mr. Epstein, in my attachments, do I need to move to have them a part of the exhibit to this hearing, or do they just automatically made a part of the hearing?
Motion from the board to accept your documents and make them.
I would like to have those documents accepted as part of the actual record of this hearing.
can I do that motion with one pending? Are you rescinding?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion in time, sufficient for us to.
Okay, the
Thank you.
motion has be
So I'll
reinstated.
withdraw that motion, so
I-
you can go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to accept his information as a part of the meeting. That's the motion.
So moved, yeah.
Mr. President, I also have, the Rose K. White family sent me an email also, which I provided to you, and if we could add those into those exhibits.
And also adding the other emails, oppositions against.
Thank you.
Sure, there are others that, I guess an opposition would like to speak. I mean,
Yes, sir.
this is a hearing, the hearing's still open.
Yes, sir.
Look, I really appreciate you looking out for us, cleaning up the deer carcasses, because they dump them on all of
Sir,
us.
sir, speak to us.
But, yes, Terry Saul, I live out there in the neighborhood.
For everybody's clarification, the meeting is live streamed, so anybody in the public can listen to it, and if you don't talk,
Okay.
don't talk into the microphone.
Okay, all right. Well,
To address your comments to the board.
yes, sir, I got you. It just, that doesn't add up at all. That's just an opinion of his and mine. But what does add up is, what concerns me more than anything is the safety of the neighborhood. I've been out there for years and years. There's been many wrecks already. And to say that, well, there's not much traffic for a house if it was to be a residential versus the commercial, well, that doesn't add up for me either. Because, let's see, I lost my thought. Give me just a second. Because I'm pretty upset about this. But I have seen in that curve somebody airlifted with a helicopter. That's important for people's safety. The more traffic you have on top of that hill and in that curve, that's the more problems you're gonna have. And that, my grandkids are fixing to be driving right out our driveway right there. And as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about the safety of everybody. And this is gonna be a lot worse with any kind of commercial thing that he puts there. Now, I'm gonna sit down, and I appreciate y'all listening to me, but yes, this really concerns me. Appreciate your time.
All right, entertain a new motion.
My name's John Pace. I live out there. My concern on this whole thing is if y'all approved what they want to do, that's just, that's going to open doors for somebody else to come in there to open up another commercial. I mean, if you let this one go, you got other people that might want to do the same thing. And Highway 22, I'm like Terry, that's a bad curve. But if you let one in, then it's just going to open up a can of worms down the road. And that's all I got to say.
Entertain the motion.
I move we table and give the petitioner one last opportunity to try to show the.
That was the motion you rescinded.
Right. I rescinded that motion to
Oh, okay.
allow him to get his information
Okay.
put in the record.
Second.
Moving properly second, that it be tabled. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What was your vote? Aye. Ayes have it, so it is tabled.
Thanks, ought to be in.
Chad Phillips is tabled till August 10th. Ragsdale.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Jacobson. I'm a development project manager with EDP Renewables. I come before you all today to ask for a conditional use permit for our Ragsdale Solar Park. The Ragsdale Solar Park is a proposed 100 megawatt photovoltaic solar park that is, we plan to construct about 5 miles south of Canton at the intersection of Endress Road and Highway 43. We acquired this project from another developer back in early 2022, and since then have continued to develop it and prepare it for commercial operation, which we're expecting at the end of 2024. Currently, Ragsdale Solar has a mix of lease and purchase options for about 1,200 contiguous acres of currently classified A1 agricultural land. And about 850 of those acres are expected to actually have project infrastructure on them. I would note that all of the surrounding property as well is A1 agricultural land, and we are asking for this conditional use permit in order to construct the solar farm. A couple other notes just about the project. We do have an executed generator interconnection agreement. That agreement is with MISO as well as Entergy, and that is sort of the physical legal document that would allow us to actually interconnect to the grid. We do plan to interconnect onto Entergy's 230 kilovolt transmission line that does bisect sort of the western half of the project. And we have been working closely with Entergy over the past few months and have successfully transferred over a piece of property to them in order to build the necessary point of interconnection infrastructure that they will own and operate. A couple of other notes, just that this application that we provided to you, it reflects the maximum size of the project area. And as we continue to refine those designs in those iterations, it is not expected to increase at all from what you see currently in front of you. In the submission, I did include a lot of other supporting documents and data, and I'd be happy to discuss any of those at this time to the best of my knowledge. And yeah, just appreciate your time this morning, and I'm looking forward to continuing this, building this relationship and this discussion.
Are you opposition? No. You're with it? Any questions?
I have a question for our attorney. Wasn't this really thinking about the new airport?
Sorry?
Wasn't this area where they were gonna put that new airport a couple of years ago? Or thinking about it?
I vaguely remember, I was the attorney toward the tail end of that for the Board of Supervisors. I believe this was an area, but that airport never came to fruition. I think that airport's idea is dead. And I do know that the solar park idea has been presented to the Board of Supervisors. I know that. So.
Motion?
I move we approve the request.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, so it is.
Great, thank you all.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't.
Motion to close public hearing.
Oh, I think that other project is dead. Long since dead.
So move.
Long since dead.
All in favor?
Jeffrey, that'd be the
And the-
August 7th board meeting.
August 7th?
August
Okay.
7th.
Yeah, there used to be an airstrip that was over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Motion for, August meeting, the 10th.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Move.
Meeting adjourned.
What is the date on 13th?
The 10th.
What's